Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing great out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. Here to break down many things in this morning's video. It seems like we've had a lot to talk about, but nothing too significant, nothing too high impact, just a lot to discuss. So the first thing we'll talk about is the tropics. There's definitely some growing, I wouldn't say concern, but there's definitely a growing interest in something developing in the Caribbean over the next several days. In fact, the National Hurricane Center has mentioned the possibility of it. And I do think if anything can get going down here, it has the potential to not only become our next named storm, but also a hurricane. So we're going to discuss this, break it down, go over all the latest model guidance. We'll talk about what's going on right now in the Caribbean, and of course, we will discuss the latest from the National Hurricane Center. After we get done talking about that, we'll give you some updated information on a multi-day severe weather risk across the middle of the country, really starting tomorrow and really getting into Wednesday. Am I expecting an outbreak of severe weather? I don't think so, but I do think we really need to watch Wednesday. So we'll talk about what's driving that, and we'll discuss that a little bit. And then I got you covered as far as what's going to happen weather-wise across the entire lower 48 for your Monday. So if you have not hit that subscribe button, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And more importantly, if you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it, and it gives a lot of other people an opportunity to pray over it also. I'm behind on comments. I've not answered any from this weekend, but I will get caught up this afternoon on those comments and prayer requests for you folks. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's make sure this is going to work, and it is. So we're good to go. So the area we are watching is down here. Okay, and we're already getting a lot more shower and storm activity down here. Convection, especially deep down here in the Caribbean in this area. You see, and I know pink isn't the best color. There isn't a lot of great colors to use for this output here. But anyways, you see all the colors down here popping off, the orange, the reds, and then you see the blacks and the whites down here. These blacks and whites, these indicate colder cloud tops, which means that we have taller updrafts, deeper convection. And this is what we watch for. Is anything going to try to get going under the hood, if you will, under all this convection as far as some sort of a low-level circulation? Now, right now, that's not the case. But there is, I would say, a medium chance, per the National Hurricane Center, of something developing down here. And if anything develops down here, where does it go? Does it go, this way? I mean, could it even go this way? Could it just go this way? Or could it just drift towards the Yucatan or maybe get close to the Gulf of Mexico? But of course, the first thing we need to figure out is anything going to develop? I think if it can, it could get a little bit of a head of steam with it. So we just got to figure that out. So we get all this back off your screen. We keep rolling here, and we look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Now, another update will come out here shortly, probably in another 45 minutes to an hour. Right now, we have a 40% chance of tropical development in this orange area, which means tropical development means it could develop into a depression or a named storm. And in fact, it mentions, a broad area of low pressure is likely to develop over the southwestern Caribbean in a few days. Gradual development is possible thereafter, and a tropical depression could form late this week or over the weekend. So when it goes to orange like this, it means we have a medium chance of development. If it goes to red, it means it goes from a 60 to a 70% chance. It's a high chance of development. So what I watch for here is are we going to get a bump up from a 40 to a 50 or a 50 to a 60 sometime over the next couple days? So if there's a 50 to 8 a.m. update, I see it. I'm just making this video before the 8 a.m. update, but this is what we got. We got a medium chance now. So let's go over the latest GFS. What is it showing? All right, keep your eyes down here. I'm going to keep this going. We're going to start off for tomorrow, October the 29th. We start to get into Wednesday morning. Not much. We start to get into Thursday morning. Just a lot of activity, just kind of clustering up down here in the Caribbean. Nothing too crazy. And then we start to get into Friday. We start to get an all-out low pressure that has the potential to form. All right, and then we get into Saturday, November the 2nd. We have an all-out tropical storm developing down here in the Caribbean. All right, we get into Sunday. A little bit stronger. It's kind of weird. I think we'll have multiple pieces of energy everywhere. I think we might have just a separate piece of energy up here. I think the more dominant piece of energy will probably be down here in the Caribbean. But we could get some sort of vortice up here too, energy. And then this kind of develops quickly. Like I said, I think if anything can develop, it will have the potential to strengthen maybe at a pretty quick pace. But all of a sudden, this develops a hurricane and then hits the southern shorelines of Hispaniola as a decently strong hurricane, obviously weakens with land interaction, and then could potentially get its act back together after it gets into the Southwest Atlantic, and then sort of just drifts around, has no idea kind of what it wants to do right now. Remember, we're about 10 and a half days out at this point, but it actually gets pushed back towards the southeast coastline, and then this is as far out as the run goes, which is already a very unreliable time frame. Now, what's crazy is we're just getting a lot of model variation from this. If we look at the run prior to this from overnight last night, it has the tropical storm developing, quickly strengthens into pretty much a major hurricane, does the same thing. Timeline is a little bit different. About a week from today, or about 6 or 7 days from today, it makes landfall as a major hurricane into Haiti or the Dominican Republic. This is, say, Hispaniola, the Greater Antilles, and then moves over, weakens, then re-strengthens, then does the same thing as the GFS is doing this morning, just not as strong, and gets very close to the southeast coastline. This is not a forecast, guys. It's not. The Euro continues to just be on the conservative side, and I don't know if I buy it because of what we're seeing right now in the Caribbean. Okay, but we get into Wednesday, we get into Thursday morning, last day of Halloween, last day of October, which is Halloween. Nothing going on, just a broad area of low pressure down here. Like I said, watch some separate energy kind of north of Puerto Rico. Is the Euro going to develop anything? Hopefully the Euro's right. It does develop just a weak, very broad low pressure right here in the Caribbean. You see the L popping off there. And then we start to get into Sunday morning. Just still that weak low pressure. Let's hope that's what the case here. We get a week from today. Remember, the last two GFS runs are showing a hurricane going into Hispaniola. A week from today, the Euro is showing just a broad, weak, low pressure in the middle of the Caribbean, and it sort of drifts it more northwestward, but it barely moves it in general. But it just keeps just a very broad, large spin just ongoing down here in the Caribbean, never really fully develops it. Now, the Canadians started latching on to what the GFS has been showing about a day and a half ago. And check this out. We get into Thursday, last day of October. We get in the first day of November. Merry Christmas. I've been saying that. I'm already excited about Christmas, guys. But we get into Saturday morning, November the 2nd. Tropical storm developing down here, kind of around the same time frame as the GFS is. And we get into Sunday morning of next week. Okay. And tropical storm developing and strengthening, and the Canadian just goes crazy with this. Develops an all-out major hurricane by a week from today, south of Jamaica, and close paths. Let's not focus on landfalls or anything like that. But it has a dangerous and large hurricane in the northwest Caribbean about 10 days from now. Now, like I said, that's 10 days from now. But the Canadian has really latched on to what the GFS is showing. Now, what about the icon? I'll just go on and take it 1 week out. Same thing as the Euro, and almost in the same exact spot, just has a broad area of low pressure. So what I would say here is you got the GFS and the Canadian against the Euro and the icon model. Those are four models I like to show. And you got the Euro AI model, which I would also throw in the Euro and icon model camp there. So kind of, I guess you would say 3 against 2. There's other models too, but you get what I'm saying. So we're watching. All right. The GEFS ensemble from overnight, because the 06Z one is not running completely yet. It shows the origins of this deep in the Caribbean, and then whatever forms strengthens. So this is between now and the next week. This goes 180 hours out. It develops it really in this area right here. And this makes up 21 members. A lot of these members develop into something, and wants to develop some of these into an all-out hurricane. It looks like we definitely take a name out of this if this is correct, and drifts this, some this way, and some right down the middle. Okay? That doesn't mean we're going to have 21 hurricanes in the Caribbean. This just combines all the members, throws it on an output for us, and just shows all the members is a better way to put it. So that's the latest GEFS ensemble, stout signal for development. The Euro ensemble, which makes up 51 members, just continues to show a broad area of low pressure. I'll just leave it at that. This is 1 week out, does not show many members. The members that do form do have an opportunity to strengthen, but the Euro ensemble is just not liking the idea of anything significant coming out of this. And there's a potential that it is correct. But I will tell you, it's the last thing we'll kind of mention on this update on the tropics, okay? The sea surface temperatures down here in the Caribbean are still totally supportive of tropical development. I mean, 29, 30, 31 degrees Celsius, I mean, that's equivalent to the mid to even some areas in the upper 80s in Fahrenheit. That is more than warm enough for tropical development. Now, the Gulf of Mexico has cooled pretty significantly. But still some warm waters. I mean, more so, there's some upper 70s, low 80s. So definitely not warm enough for, I would say, a strengthening tropical system. But down here, that's a different story. Still warm, still bathtub-like waters. So, yeah. That's an update on the tropics. We'll continue to watch it, guys. But, moving forward here, just an update on the severe weather. We do have a marginal risk for tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about what's driving this here in a second. By the way, I'm using WeatherWise. It's a great site to use, guys. They have an app, too. Definitely consider downloading it. I think Android drops today, so that's really cool. But it's a great free app for you folks to use. But anyways, level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather tomorrow for your Tuesday. So this stretches from Duluth all the way to just, looks like just west of Oklahoma City. This includes Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Omaha, Lincoln, and, Minneapolis and a lot of areas in between. So what is this really driven off of? Well, it's just anything, okay? Severe weather as far as, we look at the tornado risk, not a big tornado risk for it tomorrow. And, just wind, and it looks like hail are the two main things to watch for, but not a big risk for tomorrow, right? Now, if we get into day 4, which not sure why it's not popping up for me here. Let's see if we can update this and get it rolling here. Might be an operator error here. Yeah, I don't know why it's not popping up. It was popping up for me this morning, and I'm new to the site too, guys, so might be my issue here. Let's see. Yeah, that's weird. It was working for me this morning. But let's look at this real quick. Oh, that's because... Oh, my bad. Yep, that was an operator error. I know exactly what I did wrong. We're no longer at day 4. We're at day 3. So that's totally my fault. Day 3. So day 4 has been pushed to day 3, obviously, because we're moving forward in time. So there's a slight risk for Kansas City. And this is for Wednesday, Topeka, Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, might as well say Springfield. So this is a pretty big area of real estate here that has a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather already at day 3. So, of course, as far as, what we're talking about here, we're, and I am just messing this all up. This is just means there's basically a 15% risk of severe weather already at day 3. So what is this driven off of? Let's wait till tomorrow before we really dive into that. But what's driving this so much here is a big dip in the jet. All right, so we got this mid to upper level flow that's sweeping through the western U.S. right now. This will continue to move into the middle of the country. So we'll stop it here. This is for tomorrow afternoon. We got this flow that supports a lot of wind energy for lift in the atmosphere for thunderstorms and just wind energy for damaging winds and kinetic energy for maybe even a tornado risk. Tuesday, not so much, but we got basically a lot of flow right over the middle of the country. So we watch pieces of energy like this one right here that ejects across the middle of the country. This will get a severe weather threat going, or at least a thunderstorm threat going. Now, what we watch for as we move forward here, as we move into our Wednesday, could have more of an aggressive setup here. Area of energy right here. We got this kind of wind max, if you will, right here. An area of more elevated supportive kinematics, aloft kinematics, meaning wind energy. And we could definitely have more of a potent severe weather threat Wednesday into this area. You got this 80 to 90 knot mid-level flow riding over this region. This is helping to yank in a lot of low-level moisture into this area, and certainly some wind energy in this area. And then we have to watch Thursday too for severe weather, maybe across areas in the Midwest, the mid-Mississippi Valley, the Ohio Valley. But as of now, let's just focus mainly on Tuesday, and Wednesday. And as far as that low-level moisture, you can see it here. Already into Wednesday, you already got dew points Tuesday, tomorrow. Dew points climbing well into the 60s. Even a pool of these 60-degree or higher dew points all the way up into Iowa, but it's really surging across the south-central U.S. But check it out as we get into Wednesday. More juiced up atmosphere for sure into the eastern half of Oklahoma, eastern half of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. Certainly all the way up into the Midwest. We got dew points well into the 60s, maybe even some 70s out here. And then we look into Thursday, and I do want to watch for an area of strong to severe storms in this area right here as we get into the prime heating of the day Thursday across areas in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and then the deep south. But Storm Prediction Center is mentioning this area, but not confident enough to put a 15% risk area. So, the next thing we look at here is storm energy. Definitely some of that right here, especially into Kansas, areas of southeast Nebraska, and even into Iowa. We got, CAPE values reaching 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram. One thing we watch for is the cap going to break in this area tomorrow. And then we get into our Wednesday, definitely a little bit more of a juiced up atmosphere. CAPE values reaching well over 1,000 to maybe 1,500 joules per kilogram here in the south central U.S. So we'll certainly watch for that. As far as the precipitation output of this, here comes the storm system moving through. We get into Tuesday. Tuesday's just going to be a weird day. We might not get a whole lot of storm coverage. We got to watch for a cap to break across this area. If it does, this low pressure will certainly get the storms going. And then we get into Wednesday afternoon. Another low begins to eject across the Rockies, or from the Rockies across the middle of the country. And then look at all these storms erupting across areas of Kansas, maybe Missouri, Iowa, certainly Oklahoma, and eventually oozing into Arkansas. And this just could be a very stormy period. Could bring some much needed rain, but you're going to have to deal with some strong to severe storms in this area. And this is getting into Wednesday evening. And then, of course, we watch Thursday, too, for some storms down here in the deep south. Much needed rain. It's just, I think this system really loses its steam by the time it gets into the southeast, which we really need rain. Day 31, guys. Day 31 without rain here in my neck of the woods. We did not get any rain a couple days ago. Very sad face there. But as far as what's happening across the country right now, it's pretty quiet across the eastern U.S. Little bit of snow flurry action still ongoing in the interior New England area. And we do have some energy working its way across the western U.S. Nothing too crazy right now. We do have some scattered downpours across the Pacific Northwest. Energy moving across and starting to move into the Four Corner states. Maybe Las Vegas getting a little bit of rain this morning. So that's what's going on right now. Watches, warnings, and advisories. The Rockies beginning to get littered with winter weather alerts, winter weather advisories, even some winter storm warnings. Not a huge system, but could dump some snow even in these lower elevations. In fact, Denver, could get a wintry mix over the next couple of days. Even a winter storm watch here in the Black Hills area, some higher elevations, a winter storm warning in the Bighorn Mountains, red flag warnings across the middle of the country where systems are going to eject across the middle of the country. This is going to kick up the wind. It's been very dry. We got high wind warnings. Well, high wind watches right now in this kind of muted brown color, if you will. So just got to watch for these definitely field fires and stuff like that. We got a lot of wind alerts across the southwest. And we do have some freeze warnings ongoing still across areas of the Delmarva, some dense fog out there. Chance of flash flooding below 5% does not show up, and the risk of thunderstorms. We do need to watch for some thunderstorms across the Great Lakes region here. Not a huge deal, but definitely watch out for those. And then we watch out for some thunderstorms across areas of Utah and Colorado, and even areas of like eastern Nevada, and then maybe some thunderstorm activity across areas of the Pacific Northwest. Just a general risk, nothing too crazy at all. As far as the southeast, not a whole lot to speak on, guys. This afternoon, this evening, some thunderstorms will be hanging out off the coast of the southeast, and maybe some of them drift to the Space Coast of Florida. Maybe St. Augustine will get a downpour later this evening. And some of these showers could make their way into the southeast North Carolina coastline, but I wouldn't expect it. But everybody else is dominated by high pressure, still remains dry. The northeast, snow flurries will continue this morning, and then they'll just eventually go away. We get into this evening, get into the overnight hours, get all the way into tomorrow morning, and we'll watch for our next storm system that begins to move in. Might wake up tomorrow morning in northeast Ohio to some rain, maybe a downpour or two. And then the south central U.S., pretty quiet today for the most part. We could get a little bit of onshore flow, maybe some scattered downpours across the Texas coastline, but I wouldn't bet on it. Here comes our first low pressure this evening, beginning to move off the Rockies here, but this isn't going to do a whole lot. Might get the winds going, but that's about it. And then we take it all the way tomorrow morning. I mean, we might wake up to some scattered downpours. Corpus Christi, the Matagorda Bay could get some scattered downpours. Not a huge deal though. Well, it would be a big deal as far as good news because we need to rain down there. Some areas have not actually seen rain or much of it since Beryl. It's pretty crazy. That was in July. But we get into this afternoon for the north central U.S. this evening. Nothing going on. And then bang, maybe later tonight, some showers could get going. A little bit of lift in the atmosphere with this jet. We'll get these showers going across Wisconsin and then could get a little bit more aggressive across the UP of Michigan and especially lower Michigan into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning. So we could get some just some nice rain showers for after midnight for the Great Lakes region. And then we're starting to get a little bit of energy enter the picture to your west and the high plains. And then the western U.S., just a broad look at things. A lot of energy, nothing too crazy across the Rockies in the western U.S., but a lot of energy out there, higher elevation snow, depending on your elevation, lower elevation rain. And a lot of cold air will begin to really filter in tonight into tomorrow. And then we kind of look at the bigger, the kind of the smaller picture, I would say, is the Rockies. Just a closer look. Look at those snow showers drifting across the northern Rockies. Getting into this evening, snow begins to fall in the higher elevations of Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, even Nevada. And then as we're starting to get into tomorrow morning, check out how this system begins to get juiced up across the central Rockies, snow falling across many mountain ranges and Wyoming. I mean, check out all the snow falling and the higher elevations of Utah. And then as we're getting into tomorrow, I think this is when the storm really cranks up as far as the winter side and really targets Wyoming. I mean, we could get some very heavy snow. Your first widespread wintry day will be tomorrow in Wyoming. In fact, you look at how much snow could fall. I mean, a lot. This is between now and the evening of the 30th. And good bit of snow. Lower elevations, not much. This could tweak a little bit, but it definitely focuses in on Wyoming. And I mean, here's a closer look at Wyoming. It's a lot of snow for some of these higher elevations, but even some of the lower elevated regions, maybe an inch or so of snow is possible. It just depends on where you're located. Temperatures today, still a little bit of cold air damming affecting areas of the Carolinas. So a nice fall day, cold up in the northeast, chilly where it's not cold. The Ohio Valley, 60s, starting to warm up over across the middle of the country, 80s. I mean, it's going to get warm deep into the 70s all the way up into Minneapolis. Cooler air moving into the western U.S. now. But that's all I got. Y'all have a wonderful Monday. God bless all y'all, and I'll talk to you again soon.